thoughts on Patch so far?
Good. I think I thought the first 2 days usually are difficult because by NCAA rule you can only be in helmet, but I thought we got a lot out of it. I thought we really did. I think for a new offense, hasn't been real sloppy practice, which sometimes you get, installing a new offense, especially with kind of a veteran defense and running the same system now for a couple of years. But I think we've gotten a lot out of these practices so far. Obviously the weather's been cooperative as well. It's nice to be able to get outside. But I've been pleased. The guy that's really, I made a big deal out of it at a team meeting today, but is really doing some nice things right now is Kevin Givens. He's kind of the talk of spring ball right now. He did it in the weight room. Some guys do it in the weight room, and then it doesn't translate to the field. They're weight room warriors, but not really on the field. And he's really doing some nice things right now. He's just so explosive, and he's just so strong that he's been a guy that's really stood out so far.
Obviously, Joe Moorhead's installing pieces of offense at the time. What pieces have you guys worked through so far, and how's the team adapted to that?
Yeah, I mean, basically, the way we have it set up right now, we should have the whole offense installed in 6 days. And then obviously you're going to go back and refine and and when I say the whole offense that we've decided to install for spring, and then we'll go back and kind of look at those things, make spring cut-ups. But we got a decent amount with it in already, and then with the NCAA rule changes, we were able to get some of it installed before spring ball started, which helped. In the old days, I mean, literally, if you took over a new program or you came in and tried to install new offense or defense, and you had no meetings beforehand, it was challenging. But we've been able to get a lot of work done, because of that.
How are the quarterbacks doing with that, and how are you splitting reps? Because you said you wanted to really make everything a competition between your top two guys.
Yeah, they're both doing well. I think the system kind of fits, their skill set. I think the other thing is, from a rotation standpoint, we basically have just been going every other series. So, the first team period, Trace will take the ones with the ones, and then Tommy will take the twos. And then the next time we go to team period, Tommy will take the first set of plays with the ones. So we've been kind of rotating that by day. I think both of them are doing some nice things. I think Trace is probably a little bit more consistent right now, but that's expected because he's been here a little bit longer and played a little bit more football. Although it's a new system, he's still more of a veteran, been on a college campus, understanding concepts, talking about coverage. Tommy's still playing catch up a little bit from that standpoint.
So Andre Robinson with a couple nice runs tonight. Do you have to kind of monitor what Saquon's doing? Are you guys trying to limit him at all? Obviously,
no. I mean, he's still a freshman. He's still got a lot of areas that he can really improve. But there's no doubt that we have a better feeling of who Saquon is. So it's not necessarily limiting Saquon's reps. It's finding out what those other guys are able to do by giving him a few more opportunities. He's another guy that I would say there's been kind of a lot of talk about him right now. He had a really good winter workout. All his strength and speed numbers improved. After the first day, Huff came in kind of raving about just how fluid and how smooth he looks. He's got a different style. Really, all three of those guys have completely different styles. But really all fit. It's not like we have a 255-pound eye back or 45-pound eye back that wouldn't be able to translate into the system. So all three of them are doing some nice things.
James, you praised Kevin Givens. At 267 pounds, do you see him as having a legitimate shot to start inside this year, or is it more just kind of building and hope for the future? And what all have you seen from the defensive tackle position so far?
Yeah, he's over 270, not much over 270. After the first practice, driving Derek Dowry, who's 335 pounds, he said he lost 7 pounds at practice. He said you have no idea how much energy it takes to drive 335 pounds back over and over at practice. But yeah, you look, there's players in the Big Ten at defensive tackle or nose tackle that are 275 pounds. He's 5 pounds away from that. His strength and his power allows him, I think, probably to be a little bit undersized and still be able to play the position. But guys, we still got a long time before the first game. So to think he's going to be 270, when he's 270 now and be 270 when the season starts, I think he's still got time to put on a little bit more weight.
Have you seen anyone that's impressed you in terms of stepping up on that weak side end where Carl left?
end's a position, we feel good about. I mean, I said that to you guys last year, you think about the guys that played in the two deep, same situation last year. Those guys were able to step in. Defensive end, safety are probably two of the positions on the defense side of the ball that we feel really good about in terms of depth. You look at Sickles has played a lot of football here. Schwann's played a lot of football. Torrance Brown's played a lot of football. And then we got some guys that have redshirted behind him that we've been excited about, with Buck Holtz and Sharif Miller and guys like that. So I feel like I'm missing one. So I'll probably get a nasty email from Parrott, the person I missed. But that's a position, that safety, that we do feel like we have really good depth. And guys that are big. I mean, it's not like it's a redshirt guy and they're still developmental, 237 pounds. I think Buckholz is 255 plus pounds, somewhere in that range. Sharif's 250 pounds. So guys that we think are going to be able to play complete defensive ends against the run and the pass.
Speaking of missing one, you guys doing stuff at the end. Was Joey Julius here?
No, he's dealing with a medical issue.
James, when you're installing a new offense and you have new quarterbacks coming into the to the fold, how important is it to have a strong running game to start the year and to have guys like Saquon to rely on?
Yeah, I think obviously if you can any time if you can hang your hat on something, that's helpful. So I think our receivers, they've gone from really young guys to now vets that have played a lot of football now. At the running back position, Saquon obviously has made a bunch of plays. So you feel like those two positions, it helps if you're going to have a young quarterback to have those two positions that you feel pretty strong. We need to develop more depth at running back, that we feel good about a 3 deep. Where at wide receiver we probably have 6-7 guys that we feel really good about. Obviously the next step is the offensive line, who I think is making great progress. I feel really good about Lime Grover. I feel really good about Moorhead. I feel really good about Tim Banks. I think all those guys, not only from a football perspective, but also culturally here in State College, and then also fit on our staff, have done extremely well. So I love those guys. It's been great.
What has the competition been like along the offensive line now that some of those younger guys are maybe a little bit more able to push the older guys?
Yeah, it's better. Nelly's probably the one guy right now that's kind of separated himself. He looks like a guy who's played a bunch of football. He looks like a guy that was able to do true off-season training. This year he's playing so much stronger, more confident, more physical. I would say the rest of the positions are still pretty much a battle. But the good part, kind of like what we have at center, you got 2 guys that have played football competing for a job, or you got a guy that we thought about pulling their red shirts at the other positions. Fortunately, we were able to hold their red shirts, and now they're able to play and legitimately push guys for their jobs. There's still a considerable age gap. You have a redshirt senior with a redshirt freshman behind him. You prefer to have a step in between of that, but it's not a situation anymore where the guys are looking over their shoulder, and he's behind him. No real threat from that guy.
Time for 2 more.
So that
I got a
helps.
question for you.
Competition always helps in anything. Sir.
Last year, you guys had trouble at times staying on schedule. And when you look at Philadelphia, when they ran an up-tempo offense, part of Chip Kelly's downfall was the fact that they didn't stay on schedule either. So how do you balance staying on schedule and not getting rid of the ball in 45 seconds with trying to play an up-tempo style game?
To be honest with you, it's really the same issue. You don't want to go 3 and out, whether you're running a traditional offense or an up-tempo offense. The point you're making is a good one, that it's magnified. 3 and outs are always one of the most disgusting things ever. So, when you do it in under, with less time and put your defense right back on the field, then it magnifies that issue. So it all just comes down to being efficient. You're going to have to be efficient on first down. You have to be efficient on second down. You have to be efficient on third down. And then if you are struggling in those ways, which we will not, but if you are struggling in those ways, you have to be willing to make some adjustments. You can't just keep putting your defense out there on the field in quick 3 and out situations.
Any of the early enrollees?
I will tell you this, though, on the opposite side, and you guys have heard this argument before. I mean, we're doing tempo the other day. We've always practiced in a way. You guys see, we very rarely run at the end of practice. And because of our tempo, we're getting unbelievable conditioning. And, the other day in the indoor facility, in the middle of a series, Robert Windsor threw up all over the place in the middle of the series. And I saw all the offensive guys' eyes light up like, exactly. We got you now. So I think it's been good for everybody. The other thing is we've been able to get off the field. We're getting off the field earlier for practice, so you're still out there for a considerable amount of time, but we're getting off the field maybe 9 or 10 minutes faster than we normally will. We're still kind of learning from that. Because we'll have some periods, say it may be a Skelly period going on that we're getting through the reps that we've assigned, and maybe the O-line, D-line are doing one-on-ones. Well, I don't want to blow the whistle early and end the period, and now we don't get the work that we need O-line, D-line, one-on-ones. So I'll allow those guys to get Gatorade, take a minute and a half break while we're finishing the other drill. So that's just some of the stuff that I'm still working through in this new system as a head coach and the best way to manage it all. And Joe's been very helpful with those things too.
What do you like from your return options? We saw some of them, and what needs to be different with those guys this year?
Could you say it again?
What do you like about your kick and punt return options that you're working, and what needs to be different about those guys this year?
Yeah, I think our biggest issue last year after studying it all, and it's not like we came up with something earth-shattering here, is decision making. Being able to get to the ball and being able to key the ball off of the foot better, get a better jump and get better indicators. When you're not going to get to the ball, still running up there and communicating to get our guys away. I thought that was something we were fortunate last year a bunch of times where we would let the ball get to the ground, but we weren't up in there communicating to get everybody away. Then it goes off the back of someone's legs and you have a turnover. Consistency in catching the ball. We bobbled some or put some on the ground that were difficult for us because our margin of error last year was pretty small. But I think they've all learned from that. The other thing is I think Pook is more of a real option right now. Garrity, he's always been a great decision maker. He's always been a guy that's caught the ball really well, but his testing numbers skyrocketed this year. He's put on like 3 pounds, which is like 30 for other guys, but his 40 dropped, his explosive movements dropped. So I always thought he'd be a good decision maker and catch the ball, but now I think he could actually bring something to the table. He's taken a next step in his development from an athletic perspective. So he gives you what you want, and then those other guys are able to continue to grow into position from a decision making perspective.